Oh boy, I sure hope you love a good loading screen. I bet Anthem players sure do. So what you just saw a picture of there was a good summary, I think, of a lot of people's experience with Anthem's first day. Now, I myself, I'm not that interested in Anthem. It's a game that's really kind of flown past my radar, and then overheated and fallen into some water or something. I don't know. That seems to be the gameplay loop. It's not my kind of game. But what is my jam is watching video games release and watching how developers handle those releases and watching how they operate and how they work in that space. That always really fascinates me because it's seeing how the developers are going to communicate with their fan base and seeing how they handle a crisis. And let's face it, ladies and gents, every single video game that comes out that is massively multiplayer and online seems to have a crisis on day one. Right? It seems to be absolutely unanimous. Now, Anthem is no, isolated case in this. I mean, we can just harken back to the days of this beautiful era up here, which is Diablo 3's infamous release, where it just had constant server issues, constant crashes, constant problems, and, nothing worked. Anthem came out with its VIP demo recently, and lo and behold, servers weren't working very well, people were getting kicked frequently, and the game wasn't loading properly. Now, one thing that's really become interesting to me is sort of I suppose it's two things that become interesting to me. First, it's the user reaction to this, right? It's what our reaction to it would be as a player. We load into a game that is mostly online, and on day one, it's like it fails, and we just kind of go, oh, well, it's day one. You get all people coming out making excuses. Oh, well, it's day one. This is just how day one is. It's normal. And part of me thinks that kind of is a dangerous mentality to slip into, where it's like we're letting day one problems just kind of slide a little bit too much. Perhaps it is a serious issue, right? There are still people that do get very angry about this kind of thing, and I think that anger is justified, especially if it's a buy-in demo like it was for Anthem. If it's just a free beta trial and they're just testing server intensity and they're clear about that and it goes down, okay, fine, whatever, that is part of a beta. When you say it's a demo, though, for a VIP user, you expect the VIP experience. Surely, you want it to work, basically, and run on your machine and not have blurred faces as well. Very strange little bug there. Could be to do with the fact that the PC platform seems to be a bit of an afterthought as well with Anthem, but that's a whole other topic entirely, one that we'll save for a different video perhaps. So yeah, there's this issue that I see bubbling up, where people just seem very accepting of day one issues. One thing that I have seen that is very cool though is that the developer actually came out. BioWare's the lead developers came out. BioWare's head of live service, so he's the guy in charge of making sure the servers run. They have a very nice picture of him. I'll put it up here, and there's a link to this below. They very quickly did this, and this makes me very happy because I like seeing how the developers react, because that gives you a good feel for how they're going to inform you about problems in the future and how they're going to go about dealing and tackling tough issues like server outages, like server problems. So they basically went through and it's like, we've been testing the game for several months, blah, 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 usual spiel, but then they explained a number of things. Okay. The one thing they actually really do address, and I love this, I've seen developers doing this a lot actually. PC Gamer posted an article online, and a lot of developers were following it up on Twitter, saying like, this is just badly informed. The issue seems to be never that, oh, you just plug more servers, you just rent more servers, plug some more servers in to the login queue, and that fixes everything, right? That's not kind of how this works. The issues are generally bug-related and generally like clashes of ISP with hardware and clashes of different software types not working properly. So they explain that, oh yeah, it's platform connections. So yes, okay, there was a number of issues with the amount of people just all trying to log in at once, but these seem to be resolved fairly quickly. Entitlements. So basically the player base is entitled, that age-old nugget. They want a working... No, that's not what they mean. He means the idea of... you have like 3 million different forms of, oh, well, if you buy the game at GameStop, then you get this skin. And if you buy it here, then you get this skin. And if you buy it on Amazon, you get this skin. And I hate that. I hate it. It's so dumb. It drives me up the wall. So although those systems apparently caused issues, and then that made it so that the game just wouldn't load for certain combinations of these entitlements, and so, yeah, it just, if you had fancy pre-order stuff, I guess, then you can play the game. That's good. And then Infinite Loads, which I'm pretty sure I've seen that movie. It was in Japanese. and not subtitle. Yeah, infinite load, so just infinite loading time bugs, which apparently during internal testing we found some isolated cases, and hey, we thought it was fixed. It wasn't fixed. It not fixed. It not fixed in a big way. But what I'm glad is that they've not only said, okay, well, this is what happened, they've also outlined what their priorities are, which is, fix the login issues, fix the infinite loads, and improve server performance, because they also noticed there was some lag issues and stuff like that. This is good. This is very good, because this is not only stating, okay, we acknowledge there's a problem, so first of all, we apologize, we acknowledge there's a problem, this is not the problem, this is the problem, and then this is what we're going to be doing to try and fix it. Now, it could all just be PR speak, it could all just be, hot air, but the fact that they are outlining, like, okay, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing, and we're aware of the issues, is very, very good as a sign for Anthem, because, EA is not a trusted company. The fact that they are actually, BioWare are actually going ahead and explaining this really actually bodes well, I think. Like certain other developers, when there's like massive server issues, they say, oh yeah, there's server problems, but we're not really going to explain why or how or what we're doing to fix it, or if we're just going to wait and sort of, turn the servers off and on again until it works, which seems to happen every single time the Overwatch client gets a new event. Blizzard, come on, please, really now. And, Battle for Azeroth as well, issues every single time it releases. I don't know, again, if that is a server-side issue, or if it's to do with traffic, or if it's to do with the login system, or if it's to do with anything else. Battle.net had a huge number of issues, for example, when Call of Duty came out as well, and Battle.net servers got hit hard. Issues across the entire platform, right? And what really worries me is, again, it's that acceptance of the problem. It's the fact that this seems to be becoming normal, where it's like a game releases and you have to do something online with it perhaps, and then suddenly it all shits the bed and everyone just goes, oh, well, it's just day one. And it's like, is that really what we want, I suppose? And I think it's just, be very careful if you are the sort of person, this is the thrust, I think, of what I want to get at. Be very careful if you are the sort of person that does go, well, it's a beta, and this is like a demo, or it's a beta and it's like 2 days from release or a week from release. It's not really a beta anymore. This is the finished product. This is what's going out there. It needs to work. And if it does have serious flaws, you have to be ready to sit there and acknowledge, yeah, this is actually kind of a serious problem. Now, if it's just like the login server going down, okay, maybe that can be fixed. But when you have stuff like loading cycles, infinite loops and loading, when you have things like lag as people run around and people move around in the outer world area, you have huge lag issues. Well, that's a big problem, because if you don't acknowledge these problems, and if you don't really hit hard on these problems, you get this game. Now, that is a picture of Atlas. And Atlas was, I remember like hearing nothing about this for ages, and then suddenly everybody was talking about it just a little bit before it was released. So well done to the marketing team. I think Atlas is a good example of Twitch culture mixing with this problem, mixing with the expectation and maybe a little bit of desire for a new MMO. Especially like a pirate-themed MMO. There are just there was a spate of pirate games, and no one seems to have really quite got what they wanted out of them. Personally, again, not really a huge interest for me. I'm not that into pirates. Yarr. Although I do want to talk about Denuvo sometime. It's one of those things you see written a lot, but you don't. That's a different kind of piracy. So yeah, you had Atlas's release, and I think everyone who was going to stream it, every big streamer that was going to stream it, knew two things. First, it was going to be just awful. It was not going to work, and so you could just rip the shit out of it, and that's fine. And two, they were paying. Like, they paid a lot of streamers to stream this and even advertise this, and I'm pretty sure they paid a lot of money to do it because they got some pretty big names advertising their game for them. But it was a terrible release. It was awful. The game didn't work. Things went missing frequently. There were rollbacks constantly. People lost progression that took hours and hours and hours. And then it turns out underneath it all, the game was also bad. And that is it's unacceptable, right? It should just be completely unacceptable for this sort of thing to happen as a consumer. And you might say, well, it's not the devs' fault. They kind of predicted this. In any other field, if you go to a movie and the movie just jumps back halfway through to the middle of the movie, and then the characters just all fall to pieces, and then one actor just changes for a different actor halfway through, or in the sequel, looking at you, Marvel. I know there was more to that, but still looking at you, Marvel. And then it's like, oh, well, this and this doesn't work. Then you're going to want your money back, surely, right? You're going to be annoyed, you're going to be angry. I don't see why it's acceptable in the gaming sphere just to have, oh, well, this is fine that this doesn't work. And when it persists for a while, then that's a really big problem as well. I'll also highlight another game. I looked over what were the big MMO releases, and sure, you have stuff like, Destiny 2 came out and stuff like that. But you also have a few games that slipped under the radar. Bless Online, for example, came out. A friend of mine said, no, it'll be great, get it. And I got it, and I got burned for that badly. They pretty much admitted pretty quickly as well, yeah, this isn't actually a very good game, and it doesn't really work very well either. So yeah, that was a fun one. Again, similar issues, right? Just tons and tons and tons of problems. And I do think it highlights also the problem with making an MMORPG. It's one of the topics I also want to talk about at some point, which is that I think MMORPGs are kind of dead. I think they're getting phased out by these sort of instanced group shooters, loot shooters, I suppose, the shooting and looting games, and also by battle royale games. But I think the MMORPG is just dead. I think it is a done genre. It's too expensive, it's too big, it's too difficult. You just make a battle royale game instead, or you just make a game with lots of instance content like Destiny, like Anthem, like all these other sort of Destiny likes, I suppose. And then you go from there. Way easier to make, way cheaper, way simpler than a full, World of Warcraft style massive world. I think I just want to end this video on it's up to you to sort of look introspectively and highlight introspectively when a game releases, especially one that you are hyped for, and there are day one issues. How do you react to that? And I'm curious to see how people do react to that, and if you sort of know or have an idea of do you tolerate it, do you accept it, do you get angry, do you get annoyed, are you annoyed that it's normal like me? Because I think that's where I get frustrated, where people just seem to accept this as, well, this is just how day one goes on a major release. And I think with the amount of money and effort and energy and people behind these, surely this shouldn't be just normal. Surely, as a YouTuber, and, a small YouTuber, but a YouTuber all the same, and someone involved in the YouTube space, I know for a fact that you have 30 seconds to make an impression on somebody with, a YouTube video. And that does not seem to happen in the gaming sphere. People get hyped for a game, and then they're willing to put up with this sort of stuff, and I'm sure this burns people out very quickly. And with a free demo, if the server issues, I hit the microphone there, by the way, so if there was a thum, then you know why. So yeah, if there is this issue happening, how tolerant are people going to be of it? Is it just bad for the game overall? And surely you want the game to be as working as possible. I think for me, there's a bottom line, which is that I should be able to log in and play the game. I don't care if it's a bit laggy at times. I don't care if I get disconnected once in a while, or if it's a super crowded area and the gameplay experience isn't the funnerest. I'm used to having people crowding around quest givers and stuff like that, and having to deal with a big throng of people. What I don't like is when the game just flat out doesn't work. And especially when it doesn't work on the PC platform, just because, it's ISPs complicating things, or, we weren't expecting these hardware things, we didn't even make the game work properly with SLI, so everybody has creepy blurred faces like the game is some sort of dystopian nightmare, right? It's something to keep an eye on. So, yeah, I want to know what you guys think about day one releases. Personally, I'm kind of sick of it. Maybe I'm just old and grumpy, but that's just me. And I don't know, I expect better. I do expect better. So we'll keep an eye on this in the future, I think. Alright guys, thanks for watching to the end, and I'll see you next time. Toodles.